August has been absolutely dominated by Baldur's Gate 3, breaking records with its player count and rising to the very top of Steam's bestsellers. And outside of the game being downright spectacular on its own merits, I think a lot of its success can ultimately be attributed to the brilliant marketing campaign in the lead up to release. They really knew how to stir the internet hive with incredible reveals such as a certain druid bear. On top of its exceptionally impressive commercial success, the reviews from critics, which have finally started coming in as they've had the chance to complete the game, are also overwhelmingly positive, with outlets such as IGN giving it a perfect score of 10 out of 10 and calling it a new high watermark for CRPGs. With all of the reviews combined, it's achieved a Metacritic average of 96, placing it in a tie with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for the highest rated title of 2023. Although Baldur's Gate 3 was obviously the biggest release of the month, there were still quite a few notable titles.
One of which was Armored Core 6, the third-person mech shooter from the developers of Elden Ring, which has received relatively positive reviews from both critics and players, which may come as a surprise considering just how different it is to From Software's recent titles.
We also saw the release of Immortals of Aveum, a first-person magic shooter published by the Originals branch of Electronic Arts. It has received some criticism for its extremely high system requirements and its generic setting. However, it did receive some mostly positive reviews, but is still sitting at a mixed rating on Steam.
The other generically titled game to release this month was Atlas Fallen, although it doesn't seem to have the few saving graces present in Immortals of Aveum, with reviewers giving it a Metacritic average of just 64.
The sequel to 2020's Moving Out released on every major platform earlier this month, including the PlayStation Plus catalog, but it's definitely off to a slow start, at least based on the numbers on Steam, peaking at just over 200 players and only receiving 28 user reviews, although they were very positive. Critic reviews were also few and far between, but did average out at 82 on Metacritic.
Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is an old-school 3D platformer that's eerily similar to Sega's Jet Set Radio, but its resemblance to the 2000 classic clearly hasn't hindered its success, receiving 5,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
Sea of Stars is definitely not the biggest turn-based RPG to release this month, but it has still seen critical acclaim, with a Metacritic average of 88, and IGN describing it as an excellent tribute RPG that channels the best parts of its 90s-era forebears.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an asymmetrical 4v3 co-op game, similar to titles such as Dead by Daylight. And although critic reviews were fairly mixed, with IGN giving it a 6, user reviews were much more generous, with 82% positive reviews on Steam.
In terms of VR releases for the month of August, we had two pretty massive co-op shooters, one of which was the PlayStation exclusive tactical 4v4 shooter Firewall Ultra. I've played just over 10 hours, and for the most part I have had fun, but this game is in an awful technical state, crashing 3 times, taking ages to find players, and even resetting my player level 3 separate times. And that's not to mention the very strange design choices such as aiming down sights with a butter. It really doesn't take advantage of virtual reality, and I certainly wouldn't advise buying it until these issues have been fixed. The other major VR title to release this month was Crossfire Sierra Squad, and it seems to have fared quite a bit better than Firewall, though it's worth noting that this does not offer PvP, but there is a solo campaign, co-op campaign, and a multiplayer horde mode. Despite the fairly realistic graphics, the same cannot be said for its gameplay, opting for a wave-based time crisis structure, but I do think it works well, with satisfying weapons and an overwhelming amount of enemies. So if you're looking for an arcade-style co-op VR shooter, I think you'll enjoy it.
Overwatch 2 released on Steam this month, and while I'm sure we're all glad that another former Battle.net exclusive title is making its way to the objectively more feature-complete platform, it has not gone down well in terms of reviews. I don't think I'd call it the worst game on Steam, but it has received that accolade based on its 9% positive reviews.
Opening night live of Gamescom 2023 began with the disclaimer that it would mainly focus on pre-existing titles rather than new announcements, but we did still get a couple of exciting reveals, these being Little Nightmares 3, which unlike its predecessors does actually feature co-op, and Killing Floor 3, the latest entry in the multiplayer first-person shooter franchise.
Apart from those announcements, we also got a closer look at Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, which detailed the improvements coming in a free update to the original game, along with a first look at gameplay for both Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and Black Myth Wukong.
That was a quick recap of all of the games and news from August, but what have we got to look forward to in September? Well, it's shaping up to be quite a lot, with massive releases such as Starfield, Mortal Kombat 1, Payday 3, and Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, so make sure to stay tuned as we cover these games over the next month.